She had a good time. She was
Good.
able to fellowship with
Good.
a friend of hers going through some tough challenges, which is the loss of someone you love, you know?
Is that why she went to California?
Yeah, it was her close friend, and she had lost her husband, I believe. And, you know, there was a memorial that was going to happen. And I guess, you know, not to go into too much detail about it, but she was not, I don't know if they were officially married or what, but she kind of got ostracized by
The church?
the family and shared friends. And they're just like, well, he's gone now, so we don't care about you. I don't know, that's not what they said, but just a tough thing, you know, a tough thing. And my aunt was able to be there for her, the fellowship with her. You know, she's been doing like Bible studies with her and stuff from home. And then her time out there, she's like, we really need to do this every week, call each other and fellowship. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was a beautiful thing. And, you know, I rely on my aunt a lot, you know, to help me with teaching my son school stuff, you know, because I'm, you know, contrary to popular belief, I'm not the best teacher in the world when it comes to academics
Mm-hmm.
and the English language. You know, I can't read, but no, I can. But
How'd your appointment go
which one?
for your hair transplant?
I didn't get a hair transplant. Apparently, see how shiny my forehead is.
That's why I thought you were
Take
going.
your hat off. Let's compare
my head's
shininess.
shiny too.
Ooh, I think I'd win.
I don't have any hair on top of my head, so I'm
Oh.
pretty sure I win.
Wait, doesn't that mean I win because I still have some hair?
No, when it comes to shininess, it's the whole top of my head. Yours
Yeah,
is
you're
just
right.
them widow peaks.
Those are the headsets, not a bald spot on the back of my head. I promise. I don't have
That's
that
all right.
yet.
What are you gonna do when it is gone?
I feel like I'll have the ability to make the decision to just go bald.
I mean, okay, I'm not making fun of you because
No,
I went
it's-
bald or young.
Yeah, like
So
12.
and
so
I
it's-
loved my hair. I did. I loved my hair. I liked combing it. I liked styling it.
It's kind of weird, dude, but that's fine. I get it.
Well, I grew it long. I had like makeshift dreadlocks. I dyed it. I frosted the
Man, you
tips.
just tied your long hair into knots to have dreadlocks.
They took them, you know, them little tiny rubber bands that girls put in their hair. They took just lots of those and twisted them up.
Yeah, I used to use those for my hair.
Yeah.
Top knot.
You know,
We've come a long way, huh?
during my meeting on Monday, I was asked how you and I got acquainted
Yeah.
and when that was and when you came back to church full time.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a well-known fact, but apparently I said, well, you know, he come in and after his accident and he was better now. And I remember your dad brought you into for the Easter cantata practices. I mean, you were coming a few weeks before that, but then you volunteered for that. And then I was like, yeah, I met him. And I always thought, oh man, who's this dude with a man bun?
Yeah.
And the guy
And a glorious beard.
Steve was like, oh, what? I guess he didn't remember that.
Nice. Thanks for bringing it back up to him.
And he was like, oh, you know, I'll never understand why some guys thought that was okay. I said, I don't know, but he didn't have it much longer after that.
Yeah, once I started working out where I do, I was like, you know what? You know, I was the type where I was
That's what?
I will never shave my beard because I had like a nice beard.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm not talking about your beard.
No, but listen, I was like, I will never alter my appearance for other people. You know, I was very strong about that. I'm like, you know, I wrote out things to say like, well, I need my beard for religious purposes.
Oh,
I did that, like thinking that, oh, this is something a hill I have to die on. And then I get this job, and it was gift wrapped by the good Lord, because I mean, you've heard it 1,000 times where, you know, things were just lined up man. And I'm like, wow, I'm in a totally different role than I've ever been in. More administrative, blue collar, or no,
Mm-hmm.
white collar. What is it? Which
I was
one
going
is
to
it?
say, if that's
Yeah,
blue collar, I'm
white,
in the
white collar.
purple collar.
White collar, you know, and it was a big change. But I'm wearing this business casual every day,
Mm-hmm.
needing to be presentable, you know, shaping my beard, doing all this. I'm like, I'm just gonna shave off my hair because I had long hair, dude. It went down to about
Well, I'm
my
glad you did.
shoulders.
You know how funny that would look now?
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
No, you'd be like Monty.
Yeah, an opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, it works for him though.
Yeah, yeah.
Works for him. I mean, I
I had to. You know what though? My dad looks good, uh, with a bald head. But
you do too, bro.
I mean, he doesn't. I mean, the cul-de-sac.
Oh, he's got a cold. He doesn't.
Yeah, but that's all I've ever known him to have too. I've never known him
Yeah,
with hair.
some guys you
But
accept
he
it.
pulls it off like really well. Like he looks good.
That's who he is. You
Yeah.
recognize him as that.
And then my mom cuts his hair, and he always keeps it short on the sides, but he's 99.9% of the time he has a hat
I
on.
thought you were about to say he's 99 years old. I'm like,
Oh,
dang, dude.
No, dude, that's like Theo Von style right there. No, but he pulls it off. But I remember hanging. I think I told the story. I hung on to mine as long as I possibly could, and I used to go to Great Clips in Falcon because I liked it there because they had your phone number. And so you get the phone number, and it gave them how you like your hair.
No.
Like, oh, you like this whatever the person, their stylist did it the first original time says, this guard on the side, this guard on top, and
Yeah.
so you don't have to explain to somebody new every time. And I remember getting the same style of haircut once a month or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I went in and the lady pulled it up and she was like, how about we keep it a little longer on top? And I'm like, why? And she's like, it'll help cover the thinning. I never went back. I never
You're
stood.
like, I'm not coming here anymore.
Yeah, after that next time I got my haircut, I took the buzzer out, and that was it.
You did it yourself.
Yeah. And that was it for me. And then I've never let it go much past a couple of week length.
Yeah, I feel like when that does happen for me and I'm going bald, like shaven, that's when I'm going to let the beard go, because I can grow.
Yeah, because it'll take away from the top of your head.
I mean, bald with a beard, that's
no,
cool,
yeah, no, I get it. It's oh man, and then what really did it for me? I know this is depressing.
Oh, man.
It stinks, dude. I don't like it at all because my wife will never know me with hair now, ever,
Dang.
and neither will my daughter.
Dang. Yeah.
It's crazy, but you know what? So the razor really came into play because I would just do with the buzzer, but you still get a 5 o'clock shadow up on top of your head.
The outline of your.
So I started. I don't know. Kaylee upstairs didn't zoom in, or maybe no, it wasn't her yet. It was Tara. Usually they would zoom in like we do with Pastor Rick, and you see his face.
Yeah.
They were still doing, and then I watched it, and then I could clearly see the cul-de-sac on top of my head.
Well, you didn't commit to it before?
Well, I would shave it, but you still saw the line. Like it wasn't longer hair, but it was enough that you could clearly see where the hair didn't grow anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, so then I went home and I got the shaving gel.
You know, it's funny.
My Dollar Shave Club 6-blade razor.
There was this one time where I was like, you know what? I'll shave my hair the moment that someone I'm interested in emotionally is like, hey, are you going bald? And I'm just going to shave my head, go bald. Get in a relationship, like first one after a while. Like, is your hair thinning? I was like, why did you just say that to me? I'm not ready. And I didn't. I didn't do it. Like I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. I mean, it's not too bad, but.
No, I mean, you pull it off really well. I don't that's not the first thing I noticed. The only time I ever notice is it when you talk about your shiny head or.
Yeah, well, I got that oily skin.
But you also pull it off so well because you have a much older look than what you are.
Okay, I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
Because when I first met you, I thought you were either my age or a little older.
Dude, I've had people mistake me for being 40.
Yeah, well, people sometimes mistake you for being your dad's brother.
That has happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have that look. But then I see those pictures that your sister posts of your younger days, and you clearly look like a young punk kid there.
Mm-hmm.
But now you look, I mean, you could easily pass for your mid to late 30s for sure.
Yeah. People say I'm like 34 all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nope.
It took me a while to accept the fact that you were 10 years younger than me. I was like, there's no way. And then it kind of got to that weird thing where like, oh, you and Kevin are friends? That's weird. You're like one of them senior in high school. And
Who said that?
Well, nobody, but that's your mind. Like you start thinking back, like if I was a senior in high school, my good friend would have maybe been in the kindergarten.
In the kindergarten?
Yeah, you're just like, and you're just hanging out with this 5-year-old. Like people get arrested for that.
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, when
You look at the grand scheme of things, that's what it is.
we're adults, Adam.
I'm 39 years old and you're 28.
Yeah.
It's 11-year difference.
Yeah.
How many years is there in school? 12. So I would have been hanging out with a first grader.
No.
Okay, if you're... Well, still, how old...
You're 12, you're a senior, you'd be hanging out with a middle schooler.
Barely.
Yeah.
Barely. Like, you still would have probably been in the elementary school.
Elementary?
You'd have been 5th grade.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not good at math, so. Can't read, I'm not good at math. I mean, come on.
Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to fact check us anyways because nobody's watching.
Yeah, well, hey, those of you that are watching, it is good to be back. I thought about this every Wednesday, being here for the youth group and this afterwards. Like, when you do something for so long, I mean, it's been, 2 years now since this came off the ground?
Yeah.
It just becomes, it's just like when Bible study. Like, I've unfortunately missed out on that now.
Yeah, we didn't have it yesterday.
No.
No, it was because Rick was passing out candy.
But it's like you get into those things where, you have this place where you can go where you get, nourished through, believers and fellowship and people that try to be more Christ-like, right? Like
right.
that empowers you. Like I was like, man, can't wait till Tuesday so that I can make it through the week. Then I was like, I can't wait till Tuesday, then Wednesday so that I can keep going. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're out in the world and it is so easy to just get wrapped up in the people around you. I mean, we talked about it in youth group tonight where it's like, thinking back about like, have you ever lost a friend because you were believed in Christ? I'm like, I mean, a lot of people have kept their distance from me because I try to be more vocal about it, not in like in convicting other people, but like, hey man, I'm only here because of God. And they're like, oh, you're one of those religious types.
Well, I definitely went from one extreme to the next. Like one extreme to like overnight to where the people that I associated with thought I was just kidding.
Yeah.
I got in trouble and they're like, well, that's what people do when they get in trouble. They turn to Jesus or try to put this persona out there that you're trying to fix your life. So maybe that'll get you out of the trouble.
Yeah. So then you can go back to it.
It did not.
No.
But then I stuck to it. And then, the phone calls became less and less, which I'm appreciative for because I used to get those texts from knucklehead guys that weren't probably good to have.
Yeah.
You wouldn't text messages you wouldn't want your mom to open.
Right.
videos on Snapchat you wouldn't want your mom to see.
Isn't that a nice thing? One of the nice things where you stop getting those kind of things. And you're like,
Yeah,
thank you. Like,
well, and a lot of it, I'll never forget the first Christmas Kaylee spent with me. We were just engaged. We went to my brother's house, and my brother was the worst of sending these montages of not
Yeah.
nice things
Yeah.
to music.
mm-hmm.
And he sent me one. I got a message, and I opened it, and I was like,
And it was that.
and
Kaylee
yeah,
sitting
and she
right
was,
next to you.
and I'm like, I'm looking at her, and I'm like, that was my brother. And she's like, oh yeah, what a jerk, he's just trying to embarrass you. And but then and then all of a sudden it just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get those anymore, and then friends stopped tagging me in stupid stuff on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped putting me in Snapchat threads, all kinds of different things, and now they just stopped. I mean, none of them. I had a talk with a friend of mine that's still a good friend of mine, and he brings up like, oh, I've watched this, I've seen that, I've seen you post this and this and that, and I'm like, and does it suck? And he's like, no, it's pretty good. And I'm like, do you like it? Do you push the like button? Oh, my bad. And I sat there and I'm like, how many people are doing that?
I told
But
you.
how many times do I do that? I mean, I watch YouTube every single day. Every day. I have a regiment of podcasts.
Same.
I know what's coming on
Not
Monday.
podcast, but
I know that Theo comes on Tuesday. I know that these other ones come on Wednesday. Thursday, I usually go over to Rogan on Spotify and see if he had anybody interesting on. And then Friday, I got my own. But I've been forcing myself to hit the thumbs up even on theirs. Even though, like, I watched Theo the other day and I could just see it was only up for an hour and he already had like 149,000 views.
Yeah.
And it was just like a Rolodex. Like the numbers were just like ding, 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 as I was watching it. Because he had Tucker Carlson on yesterday.
Oh, dang. That's
And
probably
so,
going.
yeah, it was pretty good. And it just kept, and I'm like, well, but I got to get out of the mindset that they don't need it. They don't need my thumbs up.
Yeah, that's like a negative mindset.
Yeah, so it's like I force myself to like it, give them a thumbs up. And I encourage people to do that with all of our stuff. Because, yeah, the views, they count. They matter. But the traction comes from the likes and the shares and all that. So even on social media, I'm trying to get better at liking people's posts. We had a big time person that's got the check marks on TikTok and Instagram.
I mean, I feel like we're pretty good at
I followed them and
responding
they followed
to
us right back, and I'm like, all right.
Facebook. I mean, we're
And now I hear that Facebook is like the MySpace of social media right now, and nobody gives a crap about Facebook anymore. It's all about Instagram and TikTok. And I'm like, well, that's great. The least two platforms that I spend the least amount of time on. That's where but I just can't get in. I don't know if it's my algorithm. I just can't. I don't know what it is about Instagram that just doesn't suck me in.
it's the devil.
I don't know what it is about. I spend like just a few minutes. I don't know why it's not visually appealing to me on Instagram. I don't know what it is, but everybody's like, that's where it's at. Best social media site ever, Instagram. I'm like, it sucks. Like I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't spend enough time in the reels.
We're never getting sponsored by Instagram.
I don't think Instagram sponsors anybody. I think we're on Instagram.
Brought to you by Instagram.
Never heard that before.
Instagram on Instagram.
The other thing is I don't understand about TikTok is we have 199 followers. And then every time I post a video, I can almost guarantee when those views stop. It's right at the 250 mark. For whatever, sometimes it's 230, sometimes it's 250, but it's never over 260.
Hmm.
Like it always, and I'm talking, it goes quick. I post a video and in 10 minutes it's already at 150 within minutes. And then I'll go on do something else. I go back, we're already at 199. And it gets to 200. And then what about 205 is where it starts slowing down.
Dang.
And I use a lot of
See that?
hashtags. I'm trying to get used to the hashtags and
Yeah. I mean, that's, I think, where it comes into play that, as humans, we look to that stuff and we want that stuff. Like, I don't know if it's about not saying that's what it's for you, but like being noticed, or when I had my own, that's what I was looking at. I'd be like, well, how many likes did I get? Okay, cool. I
So-
posted this thing that made people laugh and I got a bunch of likes. Cool. I'm going to post more things like that. You know what I mean?
the
Like,
thing that's crazy is my personal pages, I don't pay attention to the likes at all.
yeah.
On our ministry pages, I pay attention a lot because I did have high expectations for it. Like I thought it was going to be easy, and clearly it's not. And we're probably one of the most unpopular topics in Christian movement stuff.
Hmm.
We're not tasing each other. We're not
We could.
doing crazy challenges and stuff like that. It makes no sense. We're not just being goofy.
These mustaches make us certified to tase each other.
Yeah, I think you get taken off. You get demonetized and taken off of YouTube.
For tasing?
I watched Bad Friends, and they had a Halloween thing, and they put the dog collars on,
Shock.
and one of them at the end and then I noticed immediately the next day they had to cut it. The shock collars.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, promoting self-harm.
But no, I have higher expectations for that stuff because I know that people can get support through that. And I would love to full-time ministry dedicate and put back into what we're doing, not only with the youth group, but better equipment, better quality, being able to go speak at different places, have guests on, and let people give their testimony and stuff like that. And so that's why I am always looking, because I know where that magic number is to then start getting the benefits back.
Right.
But then I also look at so we're monetized on Facebook now.
Whatever that means.
Well, that means that we've got enough followers that we can get paid.
Well, it's opposite of demonetized.
Yeah, we're monetized. So that's why if
What does
you go
that
to
mean, bro?
if you go to our Street Smart Christian page, at the bottom of every post that I do,
You got a check
every
mark?
video that I do, no, we don't have.
Oh.
No, that's certified.
Certified.
There is a little bar at the end where you got the thumbs up, you got the comments, and you got there's a thing that says, would you like to support Street Smart Christian by sending stars? And I think those stars are worth a penny. So somebody sends 100 stars, it's $1. And you have to get at least, I don't know, 150 stars for them to then put it into a little account of yours.
We got any stars?
No. But at the same time, I've never given anybody stars either.
First time I've ever heard of stars, man.
Yeah, it's right at the bottom. Well, you wouldn't get it on your personal page. It's only for, I guess you could if you had over 1,000 followers.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have 2,000 followers.
You know what I think about often is back when Jesus was here and the apostles and all that, and they're out there just wherever, at the temple
Oh, yeah.
or by the Galilean Sea. And Jesus is just like, hey, just telling them. And the apostles went and did that. He's like, all right, I'm going to send you guys. You go, don't bring an extra pair of clothes. Don't bring any money. don't bring this, don't bring that, just go. And they went on journeys and they went to these places and they're just like, hey man,
Staying in people's houses.
yeah, he's like, just, like, I'm like, that to me, like, you can't do that today.
No. You don't get.
You know what I mean? But it's like, that's
get
how,
shot.
that was their platform,
Yeah.
right? And they operated from it. They found a way, and it was to bring the good news to those that didn't know.
Well, I talked to a good friend of ours. We can say that he's like way older than us, but he's got some plans in the future of running for political office.
Oh, I know.
And I made him business cards, and then
You did?
Well, I got some from the same where we got ours.
Yeah.
So he's got business cards. Well, then he called and he's like, "Can they make like a 5x8?" And so I got him like birthday invitations, but they're his things so he can put on cork boards and stuff like that at gas stations and in the community and centers and stuff like that. And then we were talking today, and he's also from the generation that barely learned to turn a computer on. But I said, have you ever thought about...
You're going to be his campaign manager?
No, I don't think that the level of office.
Does he want us to put him on here?
Probably not yet.
Promote him?
No, because he'll lose votes. Like, they're like, what? Where do we vote in Norway?
Street Smart Christian.
We're in...
you want to vote? Street Squad?
They're not allowed to vote in places where they usually watch us.
Did you vote, Adam?
Yeah, I vote all the time.
For District 20?
Oh, no, I'm in Elbert County.
Oh, yeah.
But I voted for whatever Simla is. That's what they had, the school board.
Derek Anderson.
Okay.
Amy something.
I asked him if he ever considered a business page on social media. Not a personal page, nothing, just an like to put his face out there to get, because 90% of the people that like Street Smart Christian on Facebook are women that are 50 years and older.
Is that still the analytics?
Yeah. And so...
Dang, we dropped it down to 50. Used to be 60.
I don't... It's somewhere around there. But I'm like, this is these are the people that he needs to be reaching. And that's the only way he's going to reach young voters. Because nobody's going to the newspaper or seeing what the information on the cork board says. And he's like, well, I just... Of course, the older generation just thinks of the evils of social media. And I'm like, no, you don't put your personal... Yeah. You don't need to engage with the comments. You don't even have to look at it. You just have somebody run it for you. Put what you stand for, whatever your values are, whatever your statement is, whatever your campaign is. You put that on there. You just send it out. People share your page and stuff like that. And so he really thought about it, and then he tried to call me, and I didn't answer the phone. So.
You know what the worst thing ever is?
What?
Unsolicited text messages about political people.
Oh, I always get a call from like whatever the senators are. This is the office of Cory Balada.
Oh, dude, I'm just like, I hit report as junk, and it just keeps coming.
Yeah, so why do you keep hitting that?
Same with like my emails, bro. I get all this stuff. Report as junk.
Report
as phishing. Report as phishing, and they keep coming. I'm like, please stop.
I started getting phone calls about Medicare and like senior health benefits, and I'm like, what? And so it's always a robot. So then I would always yell at it and it just hang up. Well, last couple of times I just started acting like I was old, and they're like, hello, and I'm like, hello, and they're like,
how does this work?
And they're like, hey, we're here to talk about, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's like a little pause, and then finally it'll say, okay, let me connect you to our supervisor. And it's whatever, some Middle Eastern dude. And I'm like, that, and I know that's a real person. And then I let him have it.
Dang you.
And they usually just hang up on me, but...
They do?
Yeah. because I don't say very Christian-like things, and I tell them,
Adam,
it's a no. I get 37 calls every morning.
what do you say to him as an old man? Get off my phone!
No, I'm not an
lawn.
old man at that point because now I'm talking to a person. And I'm like, first off, I'm not a senior. Second off, stop calling my bleepity bleeping phone. Yeah.
What is it? I'm sorry, sir.
No, usually they don't say, you just beep, beep, beep.
And then they hang up.
Yeah, it's the iPhone beep when somebody hangs up on you.
How often do you do this, Adam?
Every day.
Why?
Because I'm tired of them calling my phone.
Don't
It's like we had
answer.
these guys that said they were well, they're tricky. Sometimes, I work,
Yeah, I know. I have. To
so they
answer
call
that
from
too.
Colorado Springs, they call from Peyton, they call from Calhan, they call from anywhere that I'm Simla. So I'm like, well, is this the school? Is this?
I know. I get calls at work, and I normally don't have my phone on me, but when I answer them, I let them
Sometime-
talk, and then I'm just like, are you interested in that? I'm like, I'm literally at work right now, so I can't talk. So I apologize. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll put you on the do not call list. I'm like, thanks.
I usually, if my phone says spam risk, then no, I don't answer it. But yeah, I'm usually not very nice to them.
Why do you think that is?
They used to, so then they sort of called my phone asking for Ethel Carter. That's my wife's grandmother that passed away in 2017. I had this phone number long before I met Kaylee.
That's
So
weird.
for whatever, I think because they get my address and my name's on that address, and they somehow get my phone, and they might think that I'm the grandson. So they call,
grandson Adam.
and then we still have a landline.
Whoa.
So I answer that sometimes, and we had these gentlemen that are your typical roofers, if you will, that roofing houses. They don't want to call out any kind of specific nationalities, but they would say, "Hey, we're with
do it
this-"
in their voice.
No, I'm not doing that. That's Bobby Lee tried to get somebody to do it in a accent, and I'm not trying to get us canceled that hard.
Did he get canceled?
No, because the other guys are always like, "I'm not doing that." Like he can do it because he's Asian.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm.
Okay.
This will my luck. I just talked about. Well, I wanted to grow numbers, and this is like the hot. We'll get like 2,000 views, and they're like, canceled. But anyways, they kept calling. They called a couple times, and they kept asking for grandma. And the first time I was like I told my wife, I'm like, I'm sorry but she died. She's no longer with us anymore. So
Wait, you told your wife that, or
no,
the
I
phone
told her,
call?
but I tell my wife because she's listening. Like, if this triggers you in any way, me talking about your grandma being not alive anymore. No, because she's not. Okay. Well, then they call back, and then they're like, "Well, who is this?" And I'm like, "I'm her granddaughter's husband. We live in their house." Well, we're doing roof inspections, and I'm like, "No, you're not." Yeah, we just come out and give you a free estimate. And I'm like, first off, there's nothing wrong with my roof. It's a metal roof. This house was struck by lightning a few years ago, and they redid the whole thing. So we're good. Yeah, but you never know. I'm like, here's the deal, bro. Like, he wouldn't let it go. Like, I could clearly tell he was not a professional. And I definitely wasn't. I was like past, like, this is like the
He's trying to
third
hook,
time.
line, and sinker.
Yeah, because at first he thought it was an elderly couple that would be in their 90s.
Sink, line, and hooker.
And so a lot of those guys would come hook, line, and sinker.
I said it right.
So then they would, like a lot of those guys I know that got in trouble during all those hailstorms, is they would come, say they're doing a free inspection, find something wrong, and say, if you give us down payment, then we'll come by and we'll fix your roof. And a lot of these people were cutting checks and paying cash, and then they just never show up again.
Yeah, I've heard about those.
So, and I'm no dummy. Like, this wasn't a professional secretary. This was just a dude like, hey, probably just cracked some cold ones. And I'm like, listen, bro, you're not coming here to inspect the roof. And if you do, it's not going to be good for you. I promise. What do you mean? And I'm like,
Find out.
yeah, basically like mess around and find out.
Oh,
because I was getting
no.
so mad. Like, because first off, I knew that he was trying to take advantage of elderly people. Then he wouldn't let it go, and he kept telling me like I'm an idiot. It's like, dude, it's a brand new roof. I don't need you to inspect
I
it.
don't need an inspection.
Well, you never know. This, that, and the other. And I'm like, no, I know. And I do know another thing. If you show up here, it's not going to be good for you at all. What do you mean? I'm like, mess around and find out, bro. I said, and don't ever call here again, or I'll report this number or whatever to. And they never did. But then my wife's like, oh my God, they're going to show up here. Like,
What if you're not here when they come?
like, they're not going to show up all the way out in the eastern plains.
Boonies.
No, you're pretty safe out there.
One would think.
If once they know that it's not elderly people there anymore, there's a reason there was never the mafia in Colorado.
Pretty sure they were.
No, there wasn't. No, not like the streets of New York.
Not like that. Just
Everybody
different.
had guns here.
Just different.
That's called the cartel.
Mm-hmm.
They were just selling drugs.
It's the Mexican mafia right there.
Oh my God. Well, I didn't hear a lot of reports of them causing any havoc in Calhoun, Colorado.
I've heard of them.
I bet you have. But that's because of your friend circle, just like we were talking about.
You're my friend circle.
Now,
I don't have any friends, Adam.
me either.
I mean, I do.
We have
If you
acquaintances.
guys listen, I mean, I love you guys, but we hang out once, twice a year.
Well, you're meaning friends and brothers and sisters in Christ that are 100% committed to that.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, for instance, I've been wanting to talk about this for a few weeks, but I went elk hunting, and then I'm like, man, it's so different now. It's not that I don't love the people that I was around. I love them dearly. I would die for them. But it's so different when I live a certain lifestyle now, and they claim to live that kind of lifestyle too, but I'm like it's hard. I was going to bed early because I'm like, this is not my scene anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and everybody wants to talk about church. Everybody wants to talk, and you can't talk to anybody about church if they've had a few too many.
I mean, I feel like you can.
You talk in circles.
Yeah.
Like, we'll talk about this in the morning.
You're not going to remember any of this.
Yeah. Well, you're just talking in circles because they always know more than you do. And I'm like, okay. And you don't belittle them. You're just like, yeah. You just kind of, okay. But it's like, this is why this. And I'm like,
Where'd you read that on the Google?
No, they don't. It's just, you just talk in circles at that point. And it's hard. It's really hard because you want everybody to be on your level and they're not. And then you try to express your level and other people are like, hey, whoa there, holy roller. Slow your roll here, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, you're not any better than anybody else. I used to know you a few years ago.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that's not what I'm
I
saying.
know.
bro.
I don't say. I'm just trying to express what I do now, where my passions are, what I love to do. And they're like, hey, Bible thumper. Hey, we don't need your stuff here.
You know, I saw a crazy meme about like football and stuff like that. And I love football. I watch
Right, yeah,
it.
yeah.
I follow some of it. I mean, whatever. But they were saying, the meme saying, like, can you imagine if
Oh,
people
yeah,
were
the stadium,
celebrating
and they're in the snow.
Christ like they do a football game?
I see the one, like, could you, like, on Sunday, and it's like in Cleveland or whatever, and they're all bundled up, and the snow is like piling around the people. And it said something like, if people were this enthusiastic about going to church as they were freezing to death at a football
At a
game,
football game.
man, we would pack the house.
It just shows like how
Priorities.
divided our attentions are towards, like, yeah, it's entertainment,
Yeah, for sure.
but what do you, I mean, you get camaraderie, you get, I don't know, maybe adrenaline or whatever. I mean, I admittedly, I love football, like played it,
Yeah.
love watching it. It's intense. but I'm like, how much of that dedication to a sport and a team that I love, do I put towards Christ?
Yeah, my biggest thing is I didn't know where to focus my energy. I never was a huge sports fanatic. I dabbled in the rodeo stuff, and that still wasn't like I couldn't get into it like some of my friends that were
Like you
into
don't
it.
follow who the bull riders
So
are.
everything, and dude, that's when I developed drinking problems and stuff like that because I felt that was the only way I could connect with anybody.
Right. Yeah.
That's I was a social butterfly at that point. So when I could get on
Liquid
that
courage,
level,
yeah.
yeah, liquid courage or just, a bowl of loudmouth soup, I would just,
Yeah.
I could connect. People would start talking about football and I could pretend like I knew what I was talking about. But I really had nothing. Music was my biggest thing. But with everybody, so I'm like, I don't know where to put my energy. I don't know what to put. And so when I started coming to church after I've been in trouble too many times, and that's not the reason, you just got to it's the internet.
Why?
If the cameras are working fine, but I don't know why we got to interrupt where I was going now.
Sorry.
I don't know to get my point now.
It happened to me every 5 minutes last Sunday. I'm like,
It's just because
I don't even want
it's
this
the
anymore.
phone to the internet.
Stop.
I'm sorry, I can't get us new internet.
Fix this. Sorry, it's the mustache. I've been doing it all day.
But you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't have any passions, anyways. I don't care about.
What are
life.
your passions, Adam?
Now I put all my energy into this kind of stuff. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. If I only would have paid attention to this movement 15 years ago. Man. I'm not saying it would have been any better, but it probably could have been. Because we kind of got into the game a little late.
I mean, in God's timing, nothing is ever too late, right?
Well, yeah, I understand
But
that.
then you think about, I said it to those young boys. I'm like, I wish I had someone come up and talk to me about this stuff when I was your age, and they're just like, whatever, you're dumb. Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't say that, but
Yeah, no.
like, I'm
they get
seriously,
it.
this what you're doing is not going to get you what you think you want.
No.
And they're just like, well, and I'm like, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
But then in the same breath, you're like, everything I went through was in preparation for what's to come.
Well, I wish I would have paid more attention to when I was in high school, computer.
Yeah. You think back on that kind of stuff, like, where the world has come, what they're,
The computer guy then was teaching us this program, the same program that at the time Pixar just became a thing with Disney.
Yeah,
and it was how they created all that and all these editing software sites. And and I'm like, boring. And now I watch 30 hours of YouTube to try to figure out how to make a Photoshop thing where I take your picture off and my picture over here. And I'm like, I can't do it. And I'm like, man, if I would have, because at the time I would have been growing with all this because it was just started. All this computer, like how to edit on the internet,
you
how
have
to do
the
now
skills.
because I became a recluse and was like, I gotta watch a million hours of YouTube. But this was before YouTube. This was like, this guy was like, I can teach you right now, and you'll have the basic skills to do all this Photoshop, Premium Duo, all this stuff. And then if I stuck with it, by now I'd have been like, oh, this is a piece of cake. Because really it's easy. But
right.
For me, I'm like, too much information.
Right.
Brain is too hot.
The same lens of that is when, like, you have these opportunities to share the gospel.
And you don't.
And, well, like, no, like now, like we have some knowledge, we're going through it together. Yeah. You're doing the stuff, you take the time that you can to study and stuff like that, where you're like, man, why why did it take me this many years to realize that my answer was right here?
Oh my gosh, if I would have had that same passion in high school, not only on the computer, but for this,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm always so jealous of Steve. I'm jealous of Rick. I'm jealous of Tim, Ron, all these guys that are just like having a regular conversation, and they're like,
Theologians.
well, yeah, in their own rights. Which you tell Steve, you're like, well, that's what we're working on with you, buddy. We're gonna, but they can just have a casual conversation and go, well, Ecclesiastes 17:5 says, brrr, and then you go over to First John, blah, 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 and you go over to, Micah and this and that.
Do you
and
think
they
that
just
that
pow,
is
pow, pow, pow.
like the idea that we make in our minds is like, if I'm able to do this, I will look like this, and that's
For
gonna
sure,
make
yeah,
me
oh
be
yeah, it's
this. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to fall into that. It's like a trap. Even for the Word of God, like, But at the same time, if you lock this away in your heart, strap it to your forehead, like it says in some
Mhm.
verses, like, it's not meant for you to be like this wise Solomon, right? It's meant for
Mhm.
you to have the knowledge that God did what he did and has what he has for us for this deeper reason that's gives you the purpose, because everybody's searching for their purpose, right?
Mhm.
What's my purpose in life? I mean, you wrestle with that forever. Even Christians,
Yep.
it's something that you're constantly like, well, is this who I'm supposed to be? Is that who I'm supposed to be? Like, is that who I was in the past? Is that what defines me of who I am today? It's like, no, a lot of that stuff, I know it's like these roots of lies that just the devil's able to make you think a thought.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, do you really believe that? And he can do it even if you have a good upbringing, good people around you. Something happens, you get some type of trauma, even no matter how big or small it is, and you're just like, you make this story up in your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this before a little bit, but it's so easy because we think that things are supposed to be a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be this way because I did this, or I'm going to do that, so things are going to be this way. It's never guaranteed. Like, there's no secret equation. At least I've never heard of one or found it other than the Bible, you know? And that's exactly where we're supposed to be, right?
Mhm.
You stop listening to me?
No, I've been listening the whole time. I've just been singing in my head too.
What are you singing?
I want to be a millionaire.
See, dude, why?
Well, that's just because I heard that song earlier.
You want to be a millionaire?
That'd be cool.
What do you think that'll do for you?
Buy me a boat.
What is a boat going to do for you?
Take me fishing.
What is the fishing going to do for you?
Feed my family. No, I'm just.
I know. It's. We don't want to get too deep. Call 911.
What?
Don't. Whoa.
What are you doing?
FAQs.
Did you just tell your phone to call?
No, it said call 911.
Who?
The news outlets.
What?
I don't know. I get these weird notifications. No, I don't follow the news. Okay.
All right. Because I was like, you can't just randomly grab your phone and on the podcast go call 911.
Well, I did earlier tonight. Why?
And
It's
then,
any different.
And then everybody like that's all listening audio is like, oh my god, what happened?
We just cut.
I'm gonna cut it off. Call 911 in the podcast. Just put a beep.
This isn't a national broadcast. Yeah.
Choose your friend circle wisely.
Why?
Encourage your friends. Be a reason that they want to be filled with the Holy Spirit.
It's hard, dude.
Yeah, be the example.
That's even harder.
You don't have to do it with your words.
Yeah, your words talk is cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, be a good example is hard. You know,
Practice what you preach.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard at work.
Extremely.
It's hard. I mean, at your work, it's probably a little easier because you
Mm.
guys, well, I mean, in an office setting, are you guys usually cussing like sailors out
Oh
loud?
yeah, dude.
Okay, never
it's
mind.
Not. It's a little bit better than a construction,
Yeah.
area.
Well, I
but-
guess you're not really in a customer service field
Well, yeah, it's
on the phones,
it's
but
purely customer service because we have people that come in like, I need help. My world is falling apart. It's like, oh, just relax. Everything's fine.
okay.
But that doesn't happen constantly, and it's like those downtimes is where it's so hard. And like some of the people I work with, I love them to death. I'm blessed to have the people around me that I do, but there's a couple believers and then there's a few that don't.
Yeah.
And they're like, comments like, God's not even real, dude. What do you like? I'm like, we need to talk about that. Why do
Yeah.
you say that? I'm not like making them feel bad for saying that. I'm like, well, not my God. And they're like, well, he's evil. I'm like, wonder what God you're talking about because that's not mine. And like, he's not even real. I'm like, we really need to talk because I want to know why you think that. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm like, no, you're not, dude.
You're definitely better at that than I am.
Well, no, I mean it took years and years because my tactical delivery for voicing things, like I always was the type of person, if you tell me not to do something or to do something a certain way that you want,
Mhm.
and you don't give me evidence or a reason why, I'm just like, well, you're dumb. I don't listen to you. I'm gonna do whatever I want. And then it's like younger. Maybe you should stop drinking. Maybe you've had a little too many tonight. Oh yeah, oh cool. And then I go buy like 6 shots, and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was my mindset for so long. And then even like in a work setting where you're like, I need you to do this, Adam.
Yeah.
I need you to do it, and this is how you're gonna do it, or not even tell you how to do it. And they're just like, well, how do you want to do this? Like this is a crazy thing. I don't know, but you need to do it, and it needs to be done like immediately. I was like, well, no, like give me your evidence here or your reasoning or whatever. And then they don't, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna call you dumb because you didn't give that out. You know what I mean? And I spent so much of my time trying to, I don't know what it was. I don't know why it was, but it's like now I realize that it's not about that. It's about, explaining.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Like going into detail about this, like trying to explain to these kids, like,
Well, the hard part about
It's
it is
important.
outside of your circle, outside of the church, outside of your Christian circle, it's so hard to get people to take you serious.
oh yeah, dude. And if they
That's-
do, but then they joke
They
about
think,
it. and-
yeah, they don't take you serious. I mean, they just think that this is a phase. They think that you're just
or you're
better than them.
You're cuckoo. Or,
You're trying to be better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And oh, you don't talk to me no more because you think you're better than me, and you don't hang out anymore because you think you're better. And how did you even find your wife that you have now when you're such a dummy, And it's like, what?
that sounds a little detailed.
Well,
Someone
no, well,
someone
that's-
actually said that to you.
Oh, for sure. Oh, all the time because I married an angel. I married a saint, and I was not. And they're like, but it's so hard, even in my own family. It's so hard to get people to take me serious.
Well, you go back to Jesus when he went back to his hometown.
Well, then he's like, I'm just not going to talk to you.
Where was it? He was what was his hometown?
Bethlehem? I don't know,
No,
Jerusalem?
no. He was born in Bethlehem, but he was. What did they say? Oh yeah, we know who comes from this place.
I don't
He's from there. Yeah, he's whatever. Like they made fun of
Yeah.
Like Nazareth. He goes back there. I forget in what book, and they like were about to kill him.
for sure. Yeah.
Like
But
these are people that he grew up with him. They knew him, and they're like, "You're dumb. Why you come here talking like that to Papa Pharisee over here? Okay, he's been taking care of us for a long time. We give him all of our money, but hey, this guy's you just shattered everything he's teached us,
yeah,
taught us.
it just,
It's not accepted.
I want to have it sucks because everywhere I go, people are still getting drunk. And that's their decision. That's their prerogative. But then I want to have conversations about what we do here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about our ministry. I want to talk about our youth group. I want to talk about our podcast, our social media accounts. I want to talk about all this stuff. And they're like, that's great.
So anyway,
Or yeah, they just go and they're like, well, that's good. It's better than what you were doing, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
good for
you
you, buddy. Proud of you. And I'm like, really?
was that a jab?
And then I'm always now I'm like sitting on the chair just like
Rocking now,
Yeah,
you're
everybody-
rocking. Hey, at
everybody-
least you're rocking now.
no, I'm just like swaying back and forth in a chair that doesn't like
Oh, okay. So you're
no.
losing your mind. Okay.
Well, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go put my headphones in and then my mom will come in like, I know what you're doing there, buddy. I'm like, what? She's like studying. I'm like, okay. And that's
like, hey, Ma, you want to join me?
no, nobody wants to, and it's not that I'm quoting scripture to them or like, hey guys, let's get together before you get too wasted and have a Bible study. I mean, if you can do that, great. But people ask me, what have you been up to? And I'm like, oh man, I got my ministry. And they're like, okay, well, we'll talk to you later.
Oh, cool. Bye.
Like they avoid me like a Jehovah Witness at your front door or a Mormon walking down the street. They're like, that's great.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and I'm like, and so I get it. I get like I get technical. Like we have a podcast. We're like, what's that? Well, it's kind of like the radio, but and they're cool.
You're on the radio?
Well, yeah, or just they're just like that's not their wheelhouse. They're just like, oh, cool, dude. Like, so you're sober and now you just play on a computer all day. Sweet. You know?
Some like video games.
But
or
then
something?
then there was little tiny I don't know, angel winks or whatever you call the angel kiss. I don't know what they where somebody's like, so you just quit chewing tobacco and drinking, just dropped it all, huh? Yeah. Wow. Man, I need to do that. That's cool. I'm like, all right. So, and then I'm like, yeah, now I have a youth group. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, I'm out.
Yeah. They don't ever want to talk about church. They don't want to talk about religion. And I get it, but I don't know. I don't preach it for sure. If they want to ask me a question, I'll answer the question. Most of the time, it's secretly through a text messages weeks later.
Like, hey,
And
remember when you asked me about
I'll
this?
get this 13-page text that I'm like, I really gotta read this whole thing. And then I'll respond. And then the famous, I love everybody, so I love this. But the good one is, like, I believe you when you say you're reading the Bible. I believe you. You don't have to send me a picture of your Bible open. And you're just like, I believe you. Like, I'm proud of you for reading your Bible. Please keep doing that.
You get pictures of people reading their Bible.
Yeah, like I don't believe, like they'll be like, so I've been reading my Bible every day, and I'm like, great, but I don't. It's like they have to prove it, so they send me, and I hope really they are reading their Bible.
Or they're just making fun of you.
No, they're not because a lot of it happens after sad things happen, and then they're like, oh man, I gotta find God. And they open their Bible and then they have it highlighted and stuff, but they send me a picture of it, and I'm like, I believed you.
Well, we
You know,
live in
it's like-
live in a media age. Where,
Right? They're like, well, it's Tuesday night. I'm reading my Bible. See?
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, cool. sometimes they'll ask me like, well, what's a good verse? I used to have a friend of mine every other, like I always knew when he was going through something. He's like, hey, what's a good verse for hangovers or something, like what? I'm like, you know, he might have not said that exactly, but it was along the lines of, hey, what's a good verse if your girlfriend's mad at you? Or what's a good verse for not having any money? What's a good verse for this? And I'm like,
Isn't that a cool thing that Rick brought up on Sunday
what?
in the back of your Bible?
Oh, is there something for everything back there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it called? Yeah.
Or usually, and I would always answer every one of
Concordance.
those. Yeah. I would always answer those messages that would say, hey, I'm going through a real hard time. What's a good verse to, do whatever? And I would actually look in my Bible and find it
Yeah.
and then send it to him. Hey, thanks, man. And then but that's kind of stopped now. Hopefully it's because they all found Jesus and they've been reading their own Bible. But then I got friends that are always just like, and then I got the friends that support me and then try to have that conversation, but they're like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, what about the Catholic Church? And I'm like, well, and they're like, wow. So do you guys pick up snakes? All that kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, no. You go door to door? No. Oh, cool. So you go every single Sunday? Yeah, right on. I thought I read somewhere that you don't have to go to church to be saved. I'm like, okay. No, you don't, but
Yeah, a little out of context, but hey.
but so yeah, it's hard being the only born again Christian. I won't say I won't judge everybody else's heart
in
'cause I
your
don't know what
circle,
they're-
yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard to try to want people to react to what your new life is like they did with your old life. When people would have fun and laugh at you when you were drinking and you were the center of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably God saying, okay, you're not the center of attention,
Yeah,
dork.
I am the center, bud.
But you want people to still have them open, embracing arms, loving arms for your new life instead of going, is it cool if I have a drink? I don't care what you do, man. I'm not going to, but you can.
Yeah, I mean
And then they don't know how to talk to you, so they're just not going to talk to you.
right.
And it's like, this is so yeah. You go to bed early and you just listen to the loud music and
I think that's why it's important to note, like, yeah, when you're pressing into your faith and your walk with Christ, you're going to be ostracized by the world. And the key point here is that don't take that as like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to be alone now. You need to take that and go find the brothers and sisters.
that's why it's so important
That
to
are
get
there.
into church.
It's like, yeah, that's where else you going to find.
I mean,
You
but
can't do this on your own in the world.
no, because you're going to be
Because
so sad.
You will be depressed, and then you find like-minded brothers and sisters that are like, dude, I was just like
The
you.
only thing
I've
that's
been through the
different,
same thing. Like,
I love our church. I don't want to go anywhere else. I love the fellowship with people. However, you're the only one around my age that. But that's good. I would have never found that outside of here.
yeah,
I still have I have a fellowship with a lot of people, but I'm probably not going to go hang out with a lot of them or call them up and like, what are you talking about,
start
dude?
a podcast with them.
No.
Yeah.
They would be like this.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, but fellowship is important because it's cold out there on them streets.
Yeah, once the world rejects you, I mean, yeah, it feels like it sucks. Like you've been used to being accepted, being the center of attention, like you mentioned, or making people laugh and doing all this stuff.
There's
And
no worse feeling than people thinking that you think you're better than everybody
right,
else.
and it's like that's not the case. You're just like, I have found that Christ has shown me the right path, and I have to try and stay on
And that's
this.
why, scripture says sometimes you just got to walk away.
Yeah, and
You
that's
got to
scary.
walk away from that lifestyle because then you think you're not going to have any friends at all.
That's scary because you're like, oh, I don't know anything else.
And then they really think you're better than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to dust your sandals off and move on. You got to keep going and surround yourself with like-minded Christians. Rick preaches on that all the time.
That's what's really cool about what's that book? Pilgrim's
Progress.
I listened to that through Audible,
Uh,
and dude, it kind of lays it out fairly
Mhm.
perfectly because this guy, Pilgrim's Progress Christian, I think they call him, he
mhm.
leaves and he left his wife and family behind, and they're like, hey, this world's about to end. Like, hey, like we got to go, and they're like, nah, you're crazy. So he goes on this, and then he starts off fairly like alone and ostracized and ridiculed and like, you're dumb. Like, what are you doing? Like, stay here. It's safe. It's comfortable. You're good. Stay here. And then he goes off and he runs into trial after trial, but then
Mhm.
he also runs into other people, other
Right.
like-minded brothers and sisters that were like, hey, let's keep going. And even one that went with him for a long time and they had the same goal in mind, but then they came to a crossroads where they're like, this is the way we have to go. And then that person was like, I'm not going anymore. Spent like a good portion of that journey with someone. And I feel like a lot of people may experience that where you spend a good portion of your journey, even if you
Mhm.
walk with Christ, with this person. And then when they leave, it's like, what? Now what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
but you started this potentially alone. You have to keep going because you're not alone.
Yeah.
Christ is literally with you. God is literally with you the whole time. And you are going to hit trial after trial. Like that book is so good. I mean, I didn't read it with my pages, but I listened and it was great, dude. I don't know if you've ever read it.
No.
It was good. I liked it. And it really does kind of lay it out for people that are trying to walk, in with the Christ-centered mind and heart. And I think that that's a great place for someone. If you're readers out there, like Pilgrim's Progress,
Yeah.
there's versions of it that are like the New King James language, and I didn't do that one. I don't speak that old English, but it was just cool. I mean, that's where we find in fellowship the most substantial things of the verses we read tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Friends love always, but brothers are found through adversity.
Mm-hmm. Face adversity.
When you facing that, dude, and those you develop the brotherhood and the sisterhood with those individuals that are like, you're going through that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
And truly, Christ has you, but we are creatures of companionship.
Mm-hmm.
All those people saying they're lone wolves. That whole idea of being a lone wolf. When you're a lone wolf, in actual like wilderness, that's when they're going to die. They're all lone wolf because they're sick, they're old, they're gonna go die.
Mm-hmm.
Their pack kicked them out. Like, it's not somewhere you want to be.
No.
You're lone wolfing it, dude. Your chances are low. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
May sound cool, may look cool in the movies, but it ain't. And you got to have some humility and forget about your pride, because our pride runs all of us, and it protects our egos, right?
Yeah.
You have to replace your pride with humility. Have to.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're going to continue to fall in this cycle of chain, never ending. At least I know this. I've seen it. And I've known it for a while, but I somehow always find myself in those chains. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's because of that pride and the ego that I have developed over the years, man. And until you you can knock yourself down a few pegs and look up to God. Vicious cycle, man. That's what life is without him. With him, it's all beauty, but and still strife. But
And if you're going to talk about it, be about it.
so we're trying, eh?
Yeah.
It's good to
Food
be
for
back,
thought.
man.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. We were all over
Do it
the
again.
place. We were all over the place. We're getting back into it. I think we're back on a regular schedule.
Mm,
It'll be nice.
mm-hmm.
He doesn't believe it, but sometimes life happens, right?
Yeah.
And you got to keep going.
Yeah. So remember to do those street smart shorts.
Yeah, what was that? I wear those shorts. Did you make those shorts for me?
Street smart shorts.
Are they like jorts
No, yeah, wear those and then do your videos.
in the cold?
Yeah. Do them.
Dude, I want some street smart jorts, man.
If we get 5 likes,
Do you own
he's
a pair
gonna-
of jorts?
No.
I don't either.
I don't. I have one pair of. I have some basketball shorts. That's it.
One pair.
I have like 3 pair that I sleep in, and then I have one pair of like hiking shorts. I guess they're athletic, working out.
With extra pockets.
Yeah,
Nice.
but they're not.
Cargo pants.
No, they're not. No, because they don't have the side. They just have the regular, and they go past the knee.
Amen.
Yes. Let's get out of here.
You done did it.
Yep.
We love you guys.